This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there, Jeff Giordano welcoming you to another sports catastrophe birthday boy. Actually, it's not a birthday boy, it's a birthday girl. Yes, that's right. One of the queens of tennis. The one person that basically Serena Williams strived to be better than. Her name is Chrissy Evert. Although from years on the tennis circuit from 79 to 87, she was known as Chris Evert Lloyd because she was married to a English tennis player named John Lloyd. So she won 18 Grand Slam singles, which was pretty impressive, and 3 doubles titles. She was the year-end #1 singles player in 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 80, and 81, basically being the superstar before Martina Navratilova took over. She reached 34 Grand Slam singles finals, more than any player in the history of professional tennis. She's got that record that Serena doesn't have, or even Steffi Graf or Margaret Smith Court. Anyway, she holds the record for most consecutive years winning one major title. Which is pretty amazing. She went to the semifinals or finals in 52 of 56 Grand Slams she played. Wow. And she always was in the semifinals in Grand Slams, like consecutively, 34 in a row, from 1971 U.S. Open to the 83 French Open. So she was in the semifinals almost every Grand Slam in the 70s. Oh, wow. Evert never lost in the first few rounds of a Grand Slam singles tournament, and lost in the third round twice. Wow. That's amazing. So she's won 7 French Opens and 6 U.S. Open championships. Both are records, by the way. She has a 90% career winning percentage in singles matches, and clay courts is 94%, which is a women's tennis record. Evert is now an analyst for ESPN. Yep, you see her always when they talk about all the matches that ESPN does. Anyway, she was pretty good for herself. She would play in the 1971 U.S. Open. Her first Grand Slam, she debuted. She beat Edith Budding, then the American #4, Marianne Eisel. Evert saved 6 match points. She was triple match point down to Eisel, but she won. She actually lost to Billie Jean King in the semifinals, which was amazing. In 73, Evert was the runner-up in the French Open and Wimbledon, and in 74, she won both those tournaments during her 55-match winning streak, which is a fan record in the women's league until Navratilova. She had been pretty good and all that. In 1974, winning 16 tournaments. Very good. She was actually engaged to Jimmy Connors, which was weird and all that. But they did have an on-again and off-again relationship for a few years. Evert was basically the world's #1 player for 5 years, from 75 to 80. She was just that damn good and all that. She was the oldest to be WTA #1 when she regained it in November 85, age 30 years and 11 months. However, that record stood until Serena Williams did it in 2013. She looks pretty good and all that. Evert won Wimbledon and U.S. Open in 1976 and looked pretty good for herself. She won a few more U.S. Open, 77 and 78. Now, here's the thing about the U.S. Open. They actually played on clay surfaces and not hard court. Hard courts were introduced in 1978 to the U.S. Open. So she won the one on clay in 77, and then the hard were 78. The funny thing about Evert is that she would skip the French Open to play team tennis, which was kind of stupid, don't you think? But on clay court, she was very dominant and all that. In 1973, she had a streak of 125 consecutive wins on clay. It's still the benchmark. Even Nadal hasn't done that. And it was broken by Tracy Austin. Evert had another clay court streak of 64 in a row before losing to Hanna Mandlikova in the 81 French Open. So Evert had 7 French Open titles, which is the biggest and the most for men or women until Rafa broke that in 2013. She did pretty good for herself. She actually had the most clay court Grand Slam titles with 10, 7 French Open and 3 US Open titles when it was on clay. Well, all 3 played on clay in 75, 76, 77. But Nadal passed her in 2018 with his 11th title. Evert and Navratilova had a great rivalry and a great friendship too. ESPN 30 for 30 did a bit on them, and it was pretty good. The last time she won a Grand Slam was the 86 French Open at age 31. So she won a Grand Slam singles title at least once every year from 1974 to 1986, which was amazing. And the funny thing is that in the Australian, she didn't take part in Australia from 75 to 80, which was weird. A lot of people said that she didn't participate in the Australian Open was because the status of the Grand Slam, of the Australian Open as a Grand Slam, there was a big decline. So the top American and European players stayed away. All that. So when she was dominated, she skipped 10 Grand Slam tournaments. So she could have had more. She could have been at like 24, like Steffi Graf. So anyway, as I said, that's that record between 71 and 83, about 34 Grand Slam singles events she entered. She was always in the semifinals, but she missed out the third round in Wimbledon 1983 when she lost to Kathy Jordan. So she did pretty good for herself. And all that. She would retire after the 89 US Open. She did pretty good for herself. A lot of rivalries and all that. She was actually the AP Associated Press's Female Athlete of the Year 4 times and was actually the first female athlete to be the Sportswoman of the Year in 1976. Evert actually was the president of the World Women's Tennis Association from 83 to 91. She got inducted into the Tennis Hall of Fame. She was actually ranked 9th in the best players of all time, men or women. She had good her personal life was kind of awkward in a sense. So anyway, Evert had a romance with Jimmy Connors. Anyway, Evert allegedly was pregnant but wanted to terminate the pregnancy. So anyway, Evert would marry John Lloyd, the British tennis player. I wonder how he did. Well, he was like number 21 in the world. I don't think he did well in major events. I know he won 3 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles with Wendy Turnbull, which was weird because he was married to Chris Evert. Yeah, he made 1 Grand Slam final, and that was in 1977, losing to Vitas Gerulaitis. And went After that, no British player made a Grand Slam final until Greg Rosetsky did it at the U.S. Open in '97. So yeah, not much. She actually had an affair with a British actor, Adam Faith, but they reconciled. But they would divorce in 1987. Evert would marry downhill skier Andy Mill, having 3 sons, Alex, Nicholas, and Colton. But Evert filed for divorce in 2006. Kind of awkward, don't you think? She married Greg Norman, the great Australian golfer, in 2008, but they separated after 15 months. So, yeah. So anyway, Grand Slam wins. Australian Open, she won in 82 and 84. French Open, 74, 75, 79, 80, 83, 85, 86. Wimbledon, 74, 76, 81. And the US Open, 75, 76, 77, 78, 80, and 82. Great job for that. She was pretty good. So, yeah, and she's a great commentator for ESPN. You know? Good on her. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.